Hey Russ, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, other than recovering from shoulder surgery, but
Well, I guess you're not playing golf anytime soon.
not for the next couple of days anyway.
Are you really? Are you a
No,
golf fan? I see.
I'm gonna be like 6 months before I could swing a club.
That well, I mean, I don't talk to me about your sexual escapades. This is not the place and time for it, please.
Right,
But hey, thanks Russ for doing this again, eh?
no problem.
And you said today I have no meetings. I'm curious what a tobacco guy has meetings about. Like, set me up here. Here's a meeting. Russ comes in. What's going on?
Well, we'll have weekly meetings for the merchandising department so that we can stay on top of any promotions that are coming up, anything that needs to be coordinated. We have meetings for social media because I'm heavily involved in PNC social media. We have a number of different meetings. Sometimes we meet with vendors. Sometimes I'll have a meeting with people from one of the factories so that I can give them direction as to a project or that sort of thing. So I probably have 8 to 10 meetings per week.
But that sounds very administrative. Why don't you have one of your lackeys do it, and you go do what you do best?
I have
Tobacco.
no I have no lackeys.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, you're dropping the tobacco life, the creation that is as a master blender, as an artist for administrative stuff.
The blending aspect of things when I have a project to do generally doesn't take me very long.
To
Uh,
blend.
I would say I can wrap up a project anywhere from 2 days to a week.
But how can you do? It's funny. I'm glad I asked that. But how can you do that? Let's say it's a flake. How you gonna do that? A flake in a week?
You can mock up a small amount of tobacco um, to kind of recreate what a flake is. What you do is you take the tobacco you're using, put it in a vacuum sealer bag, seal it hard, open it the next day, and it's compressed.
Yeah, but what about a little bit of maturity?
Um, you know, at the factory, it's the tobacco is only in the press for 8 to 24 hours anyway.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not in there for a long amount of time. It's the amount of pressure. I mean, the setup that I had here that I was doing, pressing manually. My press is maxed out at 16 ton. The ones
Hold
that
on.
they have at the factory are 60 ton.
Now, aren't you squeezing all the oils and the juice out of that at that pressure?
It's not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, it's not going anywhere. It's going on the wax paper and uh, on the floor and all that. Where's it going?
Very little of it.
So a tobacco leaf doesn't have that much juice.
No, it does if when you're pressing the humidity level of the tobacco is high, but we monitor the humidity level to make sure that it's at the correct level for pressing.
So this idea that I have of the ma and pop shop artisanal tobacco, uh, you're not going to make a living doing that. Is that right?
Depends, I guess, on where you are. If you're in a major metropolitan area, you can probably make a decent living doing it.
I see.
But
Yes,
if
yes.
if you're in the burbs or if you're in a rural area, you'll last about 30 days and then close shop.
Oh man. Okay, Russ. Let's get serious here. Okay. Yeah, I have no time for this tomfoolery.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you a simple question. Preparing a pipe. I bought a brand new pipe. I want to smoke it. What do I do?
Put tobacco in it. That's the first step.
I knew it.
And
I bought
then,
a
then
new. Let's say I bought a Dunhill. I spent $5,000. I got a Dunhill.
why the hell would you spend 5 grand on a Dunhill?
I'm just saying. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Okay. Okay. What do you mean for breaking it in?
Yeah. How do you prepare the pipe? I don't just shove it with tobacco and smoke, and then I get a burnout. And how to avoid burnout? That's another one.
You're, you have bought into the bullshit.
Seriously.
You have bought into the bullshit. Here's
Okay.
how you break. Here's how you break in the pipe. First off, stay away from heavy aromatics to break in a pipe, because when they build a cake, they build a very soft cake, and when you go to ream the pipe, it'll just break out in chunks. So you want to use something without a lot of flavoring in it.
Virginia.
Virginias Virginias are actually the best, but they take the longest to break in a pipe. They don't leave as much residue in the pipe each time you smoke it. But when that cake is built up from smoking Virginias, it's very hard, and when you go to ream it, you'll just get a very fine powder. And so it's really doing a great job of protecting the pipe. Burley will break in faster than Virginia, but again, as long as you're not going into something that's heavily flavored, it's good for breaking in a pipe, because it's going to leave you with a firm, hard cake. And that's really what you're looking for. And the whole idea behind starting with half a bowl and then gradually increasing.
Really, huh?
Now, that's garbage. Pack the pipe, light it. If the pipe feels like it's getting hot, let it go out and relight it later. But you don't need to do this. First off, the idea behind the half bowl is to build up carbon in the heel of the cake, or the
Right.
heel of the pipe, right?
Gotcha.
Why do you do that? When you get down to the last eighth of an inch or so in the bowl,
You're
it's
doing it
too,
anyway.
it's too moist to smoke. You dump it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So why do you need carbon, especially down near the draft hole, where if carbon builds up, now you got to clean the carbon away from the draft hole.
You see, Russ. You being that guy that we all look to, Russ Willett. You're busting all our romanticism and all that. You're demystifying everything. You're taking the art of the beautifulness and you're bringing it down to the scum of the earth.
I'm going to start a program called Pipe Busters.
That would be great. That would be great.
There are so many misconceptions. You got to remember, when a lot of these concepts came up, it was well before anybody applied any science to pipe smoking.
Okay.
Now that we know more and we learn more and we can predict that certain things will happen if you do this, because of years of observation, but also the fact that now factories have scientists involved in developing products. It's really a lot less complicated than it needs to be. I think, to some degree, where some of these ideas came from is that this is what a person used to do, and people looked to that person as knowledgeable, and they would tell people what they do, and then as it got passed along to other people, it was, this is the way you should do it.
Right. Gotcha.
And quite honestly, I just don't, I don't see it. I don't agree with it. um there's just so much garbage information that built up over the years, and a lot of the stuff that people have been told is just absolutely wrong, such
Now,
as
go ahead.
Latakia being smoked over camel dung. For years, that's what they told people. Okay, where did it come from? It's done in the Middle East.
Mm.
People who live in areas where during the evenings it would get cold enough that you would need heat, they would burn whatever's available. Well, you're in the desert area. There's not a lot of brush or scrub or trees. So they burn what they can. And what they had plenty of is camel dung. And it would burn and heat the house.
Yeah.
So because people used it for heating, other people automatically assumed that when they smoked Latakia, they were using camel dung.
See,
What-
you just broke that image. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. If you feel good about smoking tobacco that's been infused
Shit smoke.
with camel shit, I mean that's fine.
Well, yeah. Okay. Now, I got a new pipe. What do I do? Quickly.
Okay. Number one,
Do I use honey?
what you need to do is open the box, take the sock out of the box, take the pipe out of the box, put tobacco in it, and smoke it. If you're even considering using any kind of fluid to wipe the interior of the chamber before that first bowl, you should be shot at sunrise. That's one of the worst things you can do to break in a pipe, because once again, it results in a softer cake. And the second thing is that by introducing fluids to the inside of the chamber and then packing it with tobacco, you're keeping the carbon from the burning tobacco from properly sticking to the interior of the pipe.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got that covered. So,
Good.
I bought a pipe from this guy on Etsy, whatever. Nice pipe. There was a burnout. My fault or his fault?
Too little information to give you an answer. Where's
the burn mark?
yeah where's
At the bottom. At the bottom.
at the bottom? Okay. If it's at the very bottom,
Yeah.
I would say the chances are 75% it's the pipe, 25% it's you.
Okay. Now, 25% it's me. What did I do wrong? If it's me.
If it's you, it's because you smoked all the way to the bottom and kept puffing and puffing after there was nothing left. So now what you're doing, especially around the draft hole, if you take a look at around the draft hole, there's almost always little pieces of wood stuck around the edge. Well, if you smoke down that far with a new pipe and you puff too fast, now what happens is those little pieces will start to burn. And once that starts, then you're creating a situation that promotes a burnout.
You see, things are so simple when I speak to you, but if I don't, before clarifying stuff with you, there's all this mystique around it. Oh my, what did I do? Was it the right type of honey? Next time I'll use blueberry honey. You know what I'm saying?
The biggest problem I think that we've had over the years with all the disinformation, misinformation, is that you had people in the industry who felt it was best to keep their customers in the dark as much as possible, because then they become dependent upon the seller to tell them what they should buy and what they should do. And that's not my job. My job is to bring people the best possible products I can, depending on their circumstances and their likes. So, do we sell inexpensive aromatic tobaccos? Of course we do, because there are people on a fixed income and that's what they like and that's what they can afford. But I'm not going to tell them what they should buy. I can suggest to them some ideas based on what they're asking for. But it's not my job to tell the consumer what they should buy. It's, hey, I've got a new product. This is what it is. This is what it can do. If it suits your needs, it may be something that you'll be interested in. I'm not going to shove anything down anybody's throat, because I don't think that's right, and I don't like it when people do it to me.
You know, you would have made a good drug dealer.
An
honest one. You would have been honest.
Yeah, well, the problem is, though, I'm 5'4", so I'd get the shit kicked out of me.
I know, you have your minions, you have your lackeys with you. What's the matter?
I told you before, I have no lackeys.
All right, okay, so 75%, that means it's the pipe maker, it's the wood is too thin at the bottom or on the sides, is that right?
It could be an engineering error. They may have drilled the chamber too deep. But also the odds are better that there's a hidden flaw in the wood. Okay, most of the time when there's a burnout, it's because somewhere in between the inner and outer walls, there's a void in the wood. You can't see it when you're making the pipe. And if it's close enough to the chamber wall, then it doesn't need a lot of heat for that to become a burn through. And then from there, it'll just burn out.
So, okay. So now I'm going to be a little bit more vigilant, because I wanted to buy a set of 7 pipes from that guy in Norway. What's that guy's name there? The famous guy there. Help me. Eltang. Denmark. Yeah,
Not Norway.
Denmark. Come on. So
actually, I had a nice conversation with Tom about 6 months ago.
Damn, I want to have a conversation with Tom.
Oh, I'll tell you, if you think I deal honestly with you, wait till you talk to Tom.
That's great. That's great.
Tom absolutely has no room for any garbage.
Okay, he doesn't suffer fools, eh?
No.
By the way, I'm playing the fool here, and it's a show. You know what I'm saying? I'm super intelligent. Can't you see?
Well, I knew that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I want to buy a set of 7 by Tom Eltang, and I want them to be all big pipes, and I want the grain to match through all 7, including the box. I want the grain to match the box So I'm going to start smoking, and one of them has a burnout. What do? I call Tom, and what do? I say, Tom, you ripped me off.
No, you call Tom and you say, "Hey, I had a burnout. Here's a couple of pictures, and I'm just wondering what, if anything, we can do here." And if he looks at the pictures and he sees that it was from a flaw in the wood, odds are pretty good he'll just replace it for you.
You think he's got enough experience to notice this?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think so.
I'm sorry.
As a matter of fact, we get returns, and we have a pipe maker on staff who also does our estate pipe renewals,
Right.
and he and I both will look at the returns when we get a burnout.
And you'll know
And
right away, right?
there is one burnout. If it occurs, we're not replacing the pipe. And that is if the burnout is either about halfway between the shank and the side of the chamber in the lower half, or on the opposite side. And the reason is because if it burns out in that area, the odds are almost 99% that the person's using a torch lighter to light their pipe.
Okay.
And if you use a 1700 degree flame on
Yeah.
wood that ignites at 1200 degrees,
You'll burn it.
we're not going to replace the pipe.
Has that ever happened?
More times than you want to believe.
Really, eh?
Because people would rather risk burning out a pipe and using the wrong kind of lighter than because they're outdoors and they need something that's
Right,
windproof,
right.
and they don't
right.
want to taste that fuel for the first couple of puffs using a Zippo. I'm sorry, dude. Use a Zippo.
Okay, so you're a Zippo guy?
Outside when it's windy. No, I prefer butane.
Okay.
But
okay.
I use a butane when I'm in a situation where it's not going to blow the lighter out.
Okay, so you've got no problems using a Zippo and having that pre-taste of gasoline.
It only lasts for a couple of puffs, and beside that, the new Zippo fuel is very low odor. They replaced the fuel about 10 years ago. It used to be made of naphthalene, which had a very, very strong scent. Now they make it with a derivative of paraffin, and it's very low odor.
Okay.
So there's really not much to taste anymore. The problem is these people don't want to spend the money on the real Zippo fuel, so they buy a bottle of Roncinol, and Roncinol is still naphthalene.
Okay.
And that's why they get that heavy flavor. No, for a couple of puffs at the beginning of the bowl, I'm not going to worry about that. Dan Klebov, our pipe maker on staff, uses a Zippo all the time. And he's been smoking a pipe for about as long as I have.
What about people using just matches? Just matches.
It's the best way to light a pipe, but you've got to be able to basically smoke indoors.
Yeah.
And in a room where you don't have forced air heat or air conditioning blowing.
I got you. Okay. We're changing subject, but we're still in the subject.
Okay.
The different woods of smoke that people make pipes out of. There's briar, and this is all the burl. There's briar. There's cherry wood. Right?
Yeah.
I've even heard ebony.
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
No, because ebony gives off toxic gases when it's heated.
So what the hell, man?
Well, and the same thing goes for rosewood, but you see a lot of rosewood pipes coming out of China.
I was gonna say, yeah, the ebony one I got is from China. What's the problem?
Yeah, no ebony, no rosewood. Other woods that are
Pear,
common, basically any fruit wood,
any fruit wood.
can generally be used for pipes. Olive wood, and olive is actually a fruit.
Yes.
But olive wood is used quite a bit in Europe, less so
And is it
over here.
the burl of the olive wood we use, or we use
No,
the tree?
it's not a burl.
Oh, it's
They,
the tree, like
yeah,
the
they
tree
just
shank.
use, yeah, yeah.
And so, why is someone gonna charge me an arm and a leg for a bloody olive wood pipe? What's the matter with you?
If you have two pipes that are identical shapes and everything and come from the same source, and one is olive wood and one is briar, and they're charging you as much or more for the olive wood, you're getting ripped off.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Because also olive wood doesn't have as many flaws in it as briar, so there's less waste.
So why don't we just change to olive wood? What's this briar fixation we have?
Well, briar is more heat resistant, and because it's the burl of the tree, it has better absorbency. Because the burl is the reservoir for the tree. The roots suck up water from the ground and then move it to the burl. And the burl holds the moisture until the tree and the leaves need it. And then the burl is what sends the moisture up through the trunk of the tree.
And does the burl of briar have a lot of oils in it? The reason I'm asking that is because they boil all these chunks of wood first. And what's the reason for that?
Not oil. It's to get rid of tannins.
Tannins.
If you've ever gotten a new pipe and the first bowl of a briar, and the first bowl tastes kind of bitter, it's because they haven't forced all of the tannins out of the wood.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Because let's say you buy a Dunhill pipe, man. How many dots is more expensive? What, they only have one dot? They call it the one daughter or something?
Well, the Sassini was the one that had the 2 dot, 4 dot, 8 dot. Dunhill only uses one.
One dot. Okay, so I buy a Dunhill pipe for $5,000 US, right?
Yep.
There's a problem with it. Is Dunhill going to be good about it and send me another one?
Oh, hell no, because Dunhill's not in the pipe and tobacco business anymore.
So what I buy is what it is.
No, because you wouldn't be buying a new Dunhill. You would be buying a white spot.
Oh, they don't make pipes
They
anymore.
They don't use the name Dunhill anymore.
What do they use?
White spot.
That's what the pipe is called? It's a white spot?
White spot. They are no longer Dunhill. Dunhill will not allow them to use the name anymore.
You gotta love them.
Just like with the tobaccos, they sold off the recipes and the blend names to STG, and STG had to put them under the Peterson brand because they still couldn't use the name Dunhill. So now it's Peterson My Mixture 965.
I got it. And I'm branching off here. There were more tobacco licenses bought by STG than what's available by Peterson right now. Is that right?
Oh, you mean are there blends that they discontinued when they bought Peterson?
That's the way. Yeah, it's better the way.
Well, there are a number of the old Dunhill blends that they did not bring back.
Yeah.
Like
Anyways,
London Mixture isn't in the line anymore. Oh God,
do they have a dark flake or something?
A what? A dark flake, yeah. Dark flake was discontinued.
Anyways, don't get me started on this corporate.
Well, a lot of that had to do with regulations as to sale dates and everything else. And if I were to start talking about it, you and whoever's watching this would be so confused by the time I'm done that you would be wondering why you asked the question in the
Okay,
first
okay, okay,
place.
okay. Um, where was I? Oh yeah. So I bought this pipe, relatively inexpensive pipe from a well-known tobacco pipe maker, and I don't want to name names and
No,
hurt anybody and this and
nope.
that. Okay, but this was a wooden pipe.
Hmm.
All right, and they don't make usually wooden pipes, but they made a wooden pipe, and I think it's apple wood if I'm not mistaken, and I just didn't like it. It tasted of wood too much.
Well, again, Applewood has a lower burning point than Briar does, and so what you're getting is you're basically tasting some scorching,
Yeah.
and that's why Briar dominates the wood side of the business. Now, I mean, Morta is another one. Morta, you really practically can't burn out Morta because you can't even classify it as wood anymore.
Right.
It's been in mineral laden water for so long that eventually some of the cell structure gets replaced by minerals.
It's
So
ossified, man.
yeah, and so because of that, they're very heat resistant, and it's very tough to burn out a mortar. But pretty much any other wood that they've experimented with either burns at a lower temperature than briar, or if it's around the same or more resistant, there are some other negative effects. Like, for example, if you were to try to make a pipe out of ironwood,
Yeah.
all right, and you're an artisan pipe maker, you're working out of your little shop in the back of
Yeah.
your house, you'll be sharpening your bits like twice as frequently because ironwood is so hard that it'll dull your spade bits in no time.
So there are no pipes made out of ironwood. Is that right?
I've never,
Commercially,
I know I've talked to people who've worked with ironwood, but I've never seen a pipe made of ironwood.
because I would assume they're not using the burl, so there's gotta be less imperfections in
That's
something
correct.
like that. So what the hell?
But there may be other aspects, like with the rosewood and ebony,
Uh,
where it might be toxic.
mm, okay, okay, okay. Now, P lip or the fish lip, as we call it, fish lip.
Fish tail.
It's a get, tail lip. You know what
I'm
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 saying?
just telling you what they call it.
Yeah, whatever.
P lip, and fish tail.
Now, I remember I got I found a stash of pipes, and they were Peterson pipes. Were they Peterson? Yes, they were Peterson pipes, and all of them came with the P lip, right?
Hmm. At one
And
time, they all did. Yeah.
and at first I didn't like it because my cadence was too strong, and it just bullseyed my palate.
Sure.
So I had a bloody hole in my palate.
I think maybe you're smoking too much, but
I
yeah,
was a tough guy.
I can see where that would happen.
But it's so okay. So there's a learning process with this P lip as opposed to a fish tail.
Yeah. I don't recommend P lips for anybody who clench their pipes
Pourquoi?
because you need to move the pipe around in your mouth.
Ah,
Okay, so you should take a puff on one side and then maybe move it over to the other side to take a puff. But if you clench and keep the pipe in one location, that's where you wind up with a situation like you had.
So a fishtail doesn't offer you that problem.
Well, because first off, they have the slot in the end of the stem. So it's not just a small hole like the P-lip has. It's a small hole further down, but then it widens out toward the end. So it spreads the smoke around your mouth a little bit.
Yes.
But what P-lips are really good for are people with dentures. Think about that design. It has that ridge on the bottom, right? Hook the ridge behind your bottom teeth. And then when you put the pipe in your mouth, you let your top teeth keep that ball from sliding out of your mouth. So you basically dangle the pipe.
Well, why can't I do that with my real teeth?
Well, you can, but people who have dentures have a hard time clenching a pipe because a lot of times between the heat of the smoke and the weight of the pipe, it may actually cause your dentures to get loose. So the Peterson P-lip and what they used to call denture bits.
Is that what they used to call it?
Well, there's a similar design, except instead of the little ball at the top, it actually has a tail that sticks up and fits behind your upper teeth. They haven't made those in probably 40 years, 50 years.
Because I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to research after we finish this interview.
Yep.
Okay, so, okay. This is 20,000 questions, by the way, yeah?
Yeah, fine.
Now, preparing tobacco, Russ, preparing tobacco.
Yep.
There's some tobaccos that need to be prepared. Now, this is my opinion. Okay, when it comes to flakes is one of my preferred way of having tobacco or cut or whatever, processing, whatever. And I always take my flakes, I rub it out, and I let it breathe.
Yep. Good idea. Very good idea.
Okay, now what about folding the flake, shoving it in your pipe and smoking it?
It has some upsides and downsides. The fold and stuff method will give you a longer smoke, but it's a lot fussier. I mean, you've got to constantly be paying attention to the draw. As soon as it loosens up, you've got to tamp it. Yeah, and you may have to relight or whatever. So folding stuff may give you a slightly longer smoke. But then there's also another problem, which it shares with the people who cube cut. You got to make sure you don't pack your pipe all the way to the top of the chamber, because as the tobacco burns, the flakes and the cubes will expand, and all of a sudden you've got ash coming up over the top of your chamber, and you can wind up burning your pants, your shirt, whatever. Yeah, if you have a shirt that doesn't have a burn hole in it, you're not a pipe smoker.
That's horrible, because all my bloody shirts have holes in them, man.
Of course, people either think you're a pipe smoker or a welder.
I ruined some nice T-shirts with that. I got some breathable something made by llamas in Italy or something, and one little speck.
Well, yeah, the stuff that's moisture wicking, is like 95% synthetic material. So a little ember lands, forget it.
Sober.
You got a hole about the size of your fist.
There's $100 down the drain for a bloody T-shirt. Okay, what am I asking? Oh yeah, preparing tobacco.
Yeah.
Now, opening up a bottle of wine, that's uh, let's say a Bordeaux or something. Okay, for lack of whatever, and it needs to breathe, because as soon as you taste a Bordeaux, a decent Bordeaux, a decent wine, it's tight.
Yeah, no,
So you gotta let it breathe, right?
Yeah, you got to decant it.
Yeah, it opens up, right?
Yeah, of course.
Isn't it
and,
the
and,
same?
and tobacco does the same thing.
I was gonna say that. So
That's
why?
why when I open a new tin of tobacco, I won't smoke any of it for 2 days
Why?
to allow the oxygen to reinvigorate the flavor of the tobacco.
Yeah, but let's say I understand, but let's say it's a flake, and you rub it out and you give it 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's really not enough time for me. I open up the tin and kind of spread the flakes apart as much as I can, and I let it sit for 2 days before I take any tobacco out and prep it.
You leave it out in the open?
Yeah.
Really? I thought you only did that with Samuel Gout stuff.
No. No, most tobacco's too moist. If you smoke my tobaccos, you'll find they aren't. That's intentional. The more moisture there is in tobacco, the lower the flavor and the hotter it'll get.
You mean if you don't prep it?
If you don't allow some of the moisture to escape.
Okay, all right.
That's up my opinion.
So, okay, Russ. Going back to my freak out between Oriental style tobacco, English style, for lack of a better word, and Virginia's. Like I said, I'm really a Virginia fan now.
Yep.
So much so that just smelling English type tobacco with a lot of Orientals and a lot of not a lot of Latakia, but a lot of Orientals, I can't breathe. Now, what's happened to me physiologically? Doctor, please help me. It hurts when I do that.
Okay. It sounds to me that like you have some kind of psychological or behavioral issue. No, what it is especially if you go through that period of time where you're smoking a lot of those tobaccos, you get to a point where your palate becomes so tired of it. And not only your palate, but your sinuses, that in the future, you're turned off by it. I mean, I'm sure you must have had a period in your life where you tried a food and you absolutely fell in love with it, and all of a sudden you're eating it frequently, and you do that for a while, and then one day all of a sudden you just go, I don't know why I keep eating this stuff.
I don't know about food. Look at me, Russ. I mean, come on.
I mean, I've done the same thing with candies or when I was a kid and stuff like that, where you keep going back to the same thing over and over again, and you get to the point where you not only get tired of it, but it actually kind of nauseates you.
I understand.
So that's what you're facing. It happens
Now,
less with Virginias because it's just such a clean, natural flavor.
but the thing is that the, smoking an Oriental, if I'm saying that term right, Russ,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go looking for the flavors, because the flavors kick you right in the cojones.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there are some Orientals that are very mellow and don't have a lot of that, and then there are some like Smyrna, where you light up a bowl of Smyrna and man, it just hits you with a sledgehammer. The flavor is so intense.
and me comparing it to a Virginia, which now, the more I smoke Virginia, because that's all I'm smoking really. No, I smoke some Burleys. You actually go deep in the tobacco and you start really appreciating the simple Virginia, but it still offers you a lot of depth of flavor.
That has a lot to do with the skill of whoever is producing the tobacco too.
Yeah.
Because if you were just to grab different Virginias and mix them together and pack a bowl, you might hit on a great combination, or you might go, wow, this is really thin. You've got to be able to work with the blend to add a little bit of depth. That's why, for the most part, unless it's a flake, you don't see a lot of straight, bright Virginias being sold in a tin. And that's because bright Virginias don't have a lot of depth. Most of the time, if you're getting a Virginia blend, there's a certain amount of red or brown or even stoved Virginia that's added to it to give it a more of a bottom note.
Okay.
But if you take a bright Virginia and you press it, the artificial aging that occurs from the pressure will bring in a bottom note that you wouldn't taste if you were smoking it as a ribbon cut.
Okay. So it's basically, if you're just gonna have a light Virginia, and I can't call it blend because there's no blend there. It's just a light Virginia. Where's the blend? Right?
There is no blend. Yeah.
So if I'm gonna buy a tin shag, I'm not gonna get the same flavor as getting that same tobacco flake.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, Russ, I guess you've answered all my questions.
I'm sure you'll come up with more.
I'm sure. By the way, your shoulder, man, are you in pain?
Little twinges, more achy than real pain.
Are you irritable now? Like you smack people around, your lackeys?
Well, no, I haven't smacked anybody around yet, but I guess I'm probably a little grumpier than usual. mainly because I can't get long periods of uninterrupted sleep.
Well,
typically when I go to bed and fall asleep, I'm there until the alarm clock goes off. But the past 4 or 5 nights, I've been waking up 3, 4, 5 times during the evening, and so I'm not getting the quality of sleep that I'd like. Which, of course, when you start getting tired, then the pain affects you even more.
Yes.
But it's not terrible, and I actually already have one of the exercises when I take this off. One of the exercises I have to do is basically what would be a bicep curl, except that with no weight.
Right.
And they took the physical therapist told me to take my left hand and push my right hand up because you don't want to lose the range of motion. Well, I did that the first day. The next day, I was able to do it without any assist.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were in total pain.
No, I can curl without any difficulty at all. The only exercise that they've given me that creates discomfort, and it makes sense, is one of the things that they tell you to do is to stand straight up and then try to push your shoulder blades together.
That
And when
sounds
I
painful.
and when I do that, of course, it stresses this whole area. And
Well,
so
I was gonna,
it
I
is
was gonna
what it
say, Russ,
is.
why don't you come up to Canada for 6 months or something? We have specialty stores here that help you out. All natural herbs. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, homeopathic.
No. Well, I guess I don't know. But
If
anyway,
I'll tell you what, if I bring up one of my Sheratons, I'll probably be good for a week just on one bowl.
anyways,
But
Russ.
yeah, no, it's uncomfortable. I do have pain meds, um, but I only take them before bedtime. I don't take them during the day. When I've got distractions, work, or I'm talking to Gretchen or her mom here in the house, or I take the dog out for a walk. You don't think about it. It's not bad enough that you feel like it's interrupting your routine. But when you lay down at night, the lights are off, there's no sound.
What else are you gonna think about but pain?
Exactly. The only thing you think about is discomfort. And so
Ah, jeez.
I'll take one of the pills an hour before I'm ready to go to sleep, and it dulls it down enough that I can nod off.
Ah, you should come
But
up
I
here. Let's
even
go
got I've
talk.
even got to wear this damn thing while I'm sleeping. So
Well, hey, you know what I mean. You know,
for, I'm fortunate that I'm a left side sleeper.
so
So
am I. Actually, no, I'm not. I don't even know what the hell I am. I'm asleep. How do I know where I'm sleeping?
yeah, no, I sleep on my left side, so it works. If I had the left arm done, I'd be in trouble. I'd probably have to sleep in a recliner.
Yeah, no. Um, just to end this, there, I saw this thing on Facebook where if you get four people drinking alcohol, at the end of the night they're fighting. You get four people smoking dope, at the end of the night they form the band.
That sounds about right
I
too.
know it's great.
Either either that or an improv comedy troupe.
It's great. Yeah. Anyways, Russ, thanks, man. Stick around. You know
Okay,
what I'm saying? Thanks again, Russ. Really, thank you.
not a problem.